hope this video finds you when you need it the most. This is mainly focused on people who are feeling a little lost right now. Maybe you've got a general idea of where you're going, but overall, you feel a little lost. And there's always that feeling of uncertainty that just creeps up on you, regardless of whatever's happening around you at the time. I feel like every single one of us needs to go through this season in life where we really just do feel lost and we don't know what to do with it. We don't know what to do with ourselves. We're not really quite sure where to go. And I feel like we really have to go through that season, because that season teaches us a lot. Because the thing about this season is that even when things are going well, you know, your job's going all right, your side hustle's paying off, your fitness is going up and up, and you still feel lost and you just don't really know why. And we always tend to get these feelings of self-doubt of what we're doing. Is there any point? Shall we continue? Should we just leave it and stop? And we really do start to wonder whether we'll actually go anywhere. And then that is when self-doubt really does start creeping in. And because of self-doubt, we start to procrastinate, we start to slack off, we slow down, and in turn, it just makes it feel even worse. The idea of questioning ourselves, whether it's going to work or not, becomes that much stronger because of the doubt that we instill in ourselves. And because of all these different things stacking up on top of each other, we can end up overwhelmed, and well, that just causes us to stop. And we still aren't quite sure yet why. When I used to run a clothing brand many years ago, about 2020, I remember it so well, I really do. I got into work one day and I just sat down at my desk and I logged in and I just spaced out. I was just kind of looking around, thinking about it deeply, and all these different thoughts just started going through my mind. You know, all these clothing brand owners on YouTube, it's all a lie, none of it's true, it's ridiculous, this is never gonna work, why am I bothering? Because I was so afraid just to push forward. I started just questioning my ability in all of it. And I just stopped believing in myself. I was genuinely so disappointed by the lack of progress, and I doubted myself so much. That day, I just stopped it all and I quit. And that was honestly one of the biggest regrets of my life, because now that things are different, I can kind of look back on it and say how far I would have come over these past 5 years if I never stopped. Obviously, I'm back now, I'm doing it again, but the point still stands. I regret it because I technically lost 5 years worth of progress because I doubted myself back then. And for quite a while after quitting, honestly, I just kind of hit a brick wall. I just stopped doing everything. I didn't do any modeling, I didn't do any social media, I didn't do any kind of creative processes, nothing really. I just went to work and I went home. I'm really glad I had the gym, because if I didn't, I have no idea where I would have ended up. It hit me that hard. However, we learn, we grow, and we move on. And years later, I'm back doing what I did before, but bigger and better. And it's all thanks to a very simple concept, and that is, you find out by doing, not by thinking. So instead of carrying on back then, 5 years ago, and doing, all I did was think, and that was my downfall, because I didn't do. I stopped the doing, and I began just doing the thinking, and I froze. So I want you to ask yourself this question: what would I do if I was stuck in a forest? Genuinely, think on it. Ask yourself that question, and genuinely think about what you would do. I know the answers will vary from person to person. One person might say they'll check their phone. The other might start screaming for help. Someone else might just cry and freeze in the hopes that someone will come and save them. But the harsh reality is that none of those options will ever do anything. The only answer is you and what you're going to do. Relying on external factors will do nothing for you in that situation. So what do? What is the only thing you can do in that situation? Well, what else can you do other than just walk? Pick a direction and start walking. At this point, it doesn't matter whether this direction is right or wrong, because in this moment, there is no right choice. It doesn't exist. The only thing you can do is just make one. Make a choice. Pick a direction. Doesn't matter where. You just pick one and walk. Simply making the choice is the right thing to do. Because if you don't, well, you're going to be stuck there forever, aren't you? There's no sight of shelter, no sight of food, no sight of anybody. So you must do something. Because by picking a direction, no matter how terrible it is, you immediately teach yourself a bunch of things. You learn about your surroundings. You learn about what's right and what's wrong. Because if you pick a direction and you walk in the wrong way for hours on end and you still can't see anything, well, you can choose to keep going because, well, eventually, even though it's not most optimal, you will come out at the end. The forest will eventually end. If not, you can choose to pick a different direction and just go and ignore the one you just came from, because you know that's not the right way to go. But the main takeaway is that you do something. You just pick something, you go and do it, and you go and execute it. And it either works or it doesn't, and that's it. Because by going the wrong way, you find out where not to pour your energy into, and you simply just pick somewhere else, and that's it. Because every time you fail, you increase the chances of success, because you learn and you adapt and you execute. Learning from your mistakes is the most important thing you can do throughout life. And I wish I was aware of this concept 5 years ago. I really do, because maybe I wasn't going the most optimal way, but the fact that I was going a certain way was enough. And maybe I would have wasted a year or two. That's fine, because I could have been doing it better, could have had a more optimal path, I could have invested my money elsewhere. All of these different things don't really matter. What matters is that I froze and I stayed stuck in that forest for 5 years. Whereas now, I don't care whether I'm going the right way or not, I'm gonna go. Whether the forest seems never ending, if there's a pack of wolves, if there's terrible terrain, I don't care, I am going. And I want you to think about this concept, and I want you to think how you can apply it when you're in a situation where you think about quitting, or when you're in a situation where you don't know what to do. Procrastination, at its core, is a protector. It's a shield that protects us from the difficult things, from having to make a choice, from having to do anything. And that is why so many of us turn to it so often, because it's easy not to do. It's easy not to choose. But that choice comes at a price. But even though procrastination is a shield, that shield has very sharp edges. So if you hold it the wrong way, you end up hurting yourself. Because although you're protecting yourself from all these difficult things you don't want to do, you're also preventing yourself from growing. Because every single time you turn to procrastination, you are turning away from your full potential. Because as much as everybody dislikes the idea of failing and making a fool of yourself and things not going right, we need to accept that feeling. We need to accept those moments. Accept the fact that things are not going to go well and learn from them. Adapt those outcomes going forward. A lot of people are going to lose heart when things don't go well. But after a little while, when they actually do sit down and think on it, they realize how much they can actually progress, because they have seen the potential failure offers and how dangerous it is to not make a choice. Because no matter how much you plan, how much you think, how much you prepare, the only thing that's really going to teach you is action. Every single time you choose to procrastinate, you choose not to grow.